My wife secretly sold our family home for $350, $0 without telling me, then manipulated my brother into signing a fake contract, and now she's trying to take everything. Can anyone believe this betrayal? I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Honestly, I thought I knew my wife, Lisa. We'd been together for over 10 years, built a life, had 2 kids, and I always believed we were solid. But then the bombshell dropped. She sold our family home without telling me for $350, $0. Just like that, she cut me out of what was supposed to be our future. And that was only the start of the nightmare. It all started about 2 months ago. Things with Lisa had been weird, little things at first. She'd be on her phone more than usual, whispering to someone in private, hiding her screen when I'd come near. She'd make excuses, say she was talking to her sister or a friend, but I could tell she was hiding something. She became distant, less affectionate, and started working late more often. I noticed her phone bill ballooned with calls and texts to an unknown number. I'd ask her about it, and she'd shrug, say I was overreacting. That's what she always did, deflect and lie. Then came the day I found out for sure. I'd been home late from work because of a project, and I decided to check her phone out of curiosity, something I never did before, but I was just feeling off. I unlocked her phone while she was in the shower. That's when I saw the messages. They weren't just innocent texts, they were flirtatious, intimate, talking about meeting up, about how much she missed him. Her lover's name was Mark. I felt my stomach drop. My mind raced. How long had this been going on? Was this just a one-time thing, or had she been cheating on me for months? I confronted her as soon as she got out of the shower. I told her I knew everything, showed her the messages. Her face went pale, then twisted into something ugly, defensive, angry. "You're overthinking," she spat. "It's just sex, it doesn't mean anything. You're paranoid." But I could see the guilt in her eyes. She tried to deny it, but I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore. The worst part, when I asked her how long this had been going on, she shrugged and said, "It's not what you think. I was just lonely, and Mark, he's just someone I talk to when I need to feel alive." That's when I knew this wasn't just a one-time thing. This was a full-blown affair. I was devastated. I felt betrayed, humiliated. I'd trusted her with everything, and she'd been sneaking around, lying, cheating. My own wife, the woman I loved, was sleeping with another man behind my back. But what hit me hardest wasn't just the affair. It was the way she lied, the way she manipulated everything to cover her tracks. She even convinced my brother, Jake, to sign some fake contract, something about refinancing our house without me knowing. Turns out, she sold our home for $350, $0, and I only found out when I saw a bank statement that didn't match what I thought was our savings account. She'd been planning this, secretly cashing out our life, and I was left in the dark. I felt like I was drowning. All these pieces, her lies, the affair, the money, crashed down on me at once. I couldn't believe I'd been so blind. The woman I thought I knew was a stranger, a con artist. I was furious, hurt, and just numb all at the same time. It was like waking up in someone else's nightmare, and I didn't know how to get out of it. I kept asking myself, how could she do this? How could she betray me like this? And more importantly, what do I do now? After I uncovered everything, I knew I couldn't keep silent. I had to confront Lisa again, but this time I had all the evidence. I sat her down in the living room, feeling my heart pounding in my chest, and laid out everything I'd found: her secret affair, the fake contract, the sale of the house, the money gone. Her face contorted into a look of pure rage and disbelief. She started lying again, of course. "You're crazy," she spat. "That's not true. Mark means nothing. I was just bored. The house. I was trying to get us a better life, a fresh start. You're overreacting." Her words were cold, but I could see her hands trembling. She was panicked, trying to spin her web of lies, but I had enough. I told her I knew she'd sold the house, that she'd manipulated my brother into signing some fake deal, and that she was trying to take everything I'd worked for. Her eyes narrowed. "You're just jealous. You're insecure. You don't appreciate what I do for this family." Yeah, right. That was her go-to excuse, blame me for her cheating, for her lies. I felt boiling anger. How could she be so callous, so manipulative? I wanted to scream at her, to shake her and make her see what she'd done. But what hit me hardest was the realization that I'd lost my home. The house, where I'd raised my kids, where we'd built memories, gone, sold behind my back for quick cash. She'd even convinced my brother to sign some fake documents, pretending it was for refinancing or some legal reason. I found out later that she'd forged his signature, manipulated him into thinking it was all legit. She'd lied to everyone, and now she was trying to take everything I had left. As I sat there staring at her, I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. How do you fight someone who's willing to lie, cheat, and manipulate her own family? How do you even begin to process that level of betrayal? I was furious, yes, but mostly I was hurt deep down. I'd trusted her. I'd believed in us. And now I wondered if I ever really knew her at all. I knew I couldn't stay silent anymore. I told her I'd been planning to get a lawyer to stop her from doing more damage. She scoffed, said I was overreacting, that everything would blow over like she always did. But I saw right through her. She was scared now because she knew I was serious. I wasn't going to let her ruin what was left of our life without a fight. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept racing, thoughts of the house, her lies, the money, the affair. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck, emotionally and physically drained. The betrayal cut so deep I didn't know if I'd ever recover. All I knew was I had to do something. I couldn't let her get away with this. I had to protect what was mine, even if it meant tearing everything apart first. Over the next few days, everything felt like a blur. I was stuck between anger, disbelief, and a strange numbness. I couldn't shake. I started digging into the details, getting copies of the fake contracts, consulting a lawyer, and trying to piece together exactly how much she'd taken and what her next move might be. Meanwhile, Lisa kept up her act, acting innocent in front of the kids, pretending everything was fine, even throwing in some tears when I pressed her about the house sale. But I could see right through her. Her bitchy, manipulative side was on full display now, and it only fueled my resolve to take back what she was trying to steal. One afternoon, I got a call from my bank. Turns out she drained our joint account, leaving only a tiny balance. I was furious. How could she do this? We had a modest but decent life, nothing extravagant, just enough for our family. Now she'd sold the house, manipulated my brother into signing fake documents, and took the money. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I immediately contacted the lawyer I'd found. We set up a meeting to go over everything: her lies, the sale, the forged signatures. The lawyer told me I had grounds for legal action: fraud, forgery, breach of contract. But the biggest shock was yet to come. While going through some of the paperwork she'd left behind, I found a receipt for the house sale, 350. She cashed out everything and I had no idea. I thought the house was still ours, that we had some equity left. Instead, she just sold our entire life behind my back. That moment hit me like a ton of bricks. I'd been asleep at the wheel, trusting her blindly. How could I have missed all the signs? How could she do this to me and our kids? The betrayal cut so deep I started questioning everything: my judgment, her loyalty, the very foundation of our marriage. I decided to confront her again, but this time I was ready. I sat her down in the living room, told her I knew everything about the sale, the fake signatures, the affair. Her face twisted into a look of pure rage. "You're crazy," she snapped. "You're just jealous because I found someone who makes me feel alive. You're too insecure to see I deserve better." That's when I realized she was never going to admit to her lies. She was going to keep spinning her web of bullshit, trying to manipulate me into thinking I was the problem. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her I was filing for divorce, that I was going to fight for custody of the kids, and that she was not going to get away with stealing my life. I had no choice. I wanted her out and I wanted justice. I knew I couldn't trust her anymore, not after all the lying and cheating. She looked at me with pure venom, but I saw the fear behind her eyes. She knew she was cornered. That night I sat alone, staring at the empty space where our house once stood in my mind. It was more than just a building. It was our home, our family's foundation. Now it was gone, sold for quick cash, leaving me with nothing but betrayal and heartbreak. I realized one thing: I'd lost a lot, but I wasn't going to let her win. I'd fight for what's right, for my children and for my dignity. And I knew that somehow I'd get through this mess, even if it took everything I had. The days that followed were a whirlwind. I moved quickly to get legal advice, started filing paperwork for divorce, and contacted a private investigator to see if there were any other secrets she was hiding. Honestly, I felt like I was running on fumes, exhausted emotionally, but driven by a need to set things straight. Every time I thought about the house, the betrayal, or her lies, my blood boiled. But I also knew I had to stay level-headed if I wanted to come out of this with some shred of dignity. Lisa, of course, was doing everything she could to spin her story. She'd call me crying, saying she didn't mean for it to go this far, that she was just so lonely, and that she still loved me. Yeah, right. I could see through her crocodile tears. Her manipulative bitchy side was on full display, lying, twisting facts, trying to make me doubt everything. She even told the kids I was overreacting, that I was making her feel like a villain. But I knew better. I'd seen her true colors now, and I wasn't going to let her manipulate the situation. One day, I got an anonymous tip that Lisa had been meeting Mark, her lover, in a hotel downtown. I didn't want to believe it, but I also knew I couldn't ignore it, so I hired the pie to follow her. Sure enough, she was sneaking around, meeting him late at night, sometimes with a bag of clothes or some other suspicious items. I felt sick. The woman I'd trusted, the mother of my children, was cheating on me with a man who was clearly just using her for sex. That was the moment I decided I had to act fast. No more waiting, no more pretending everything was okay. I gathered all the evidence I could, texts, photos, bank statements, and took everything to my lawyer. We filed for divorce on grounds of infidelity and financial fraud. I also started the process of reclaiming the house, which she'd sold without my knowledge. I knew I could fight this, but it was going to be a long, brutal battle. The thought of losing what little I had left was devastating, but I refused to let her walk all over me. Meanwhile, her bitchy attitude only got worse. She was demanding more money, trying to guilt-trip me into giving her the house or the kids, and insisting she deserved more because she was the mother. I didn't buy her crocodile tears anymore. I saw right through her manipulations. She was trying to spin everything to her favor, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I was determined to expose her lies and protect what was mine. One night, I caught her trying to sneak out again, meeting Mark at the hotel. I followed her, took photos, and finally had enough proof to shut her down legally. I felt a surge of anger and betrayal so intense I couldn't breathe. How could she do this? How could she lie and cheat, then turn around and try to manipulate me into giving her everything? I realized that she was only thinking about herself, her sex, her money, her new life, and I was just a pawn in her game. That was the moment I knew I had to fight harder, not just for the house or the money, but for my dignity. I sat down and made a decision. I'd go all in. I'd fight her in court, expose her lies, and make sure she couldn't take everything I'd ever worked for. I'd also seek custody of our kids, because I knew she'd use them as pawns in her manipulative schemes. It was going to be a brutal process, and I knew I'd have to stay strong. But I promised myself I wouldn't let her ruin me completely. I'd find a way to rebuild, one step at a time. The court hearing started about a month ago, and let me tell you, that was a nightmare I wasn't prepared for. Lisa showed up with her crocodile tears, playing the victim, trying to convince the judge that she was the better parent, that she needed the house because she deserved stability, and that I was just some jealous, insecure husband. She lied through her teeth, twisting everything I said and throwing in some poor me sob stories. Honestly, I'd never seen her so manipulative in court before, and I was furious. I had all the evidence, proof of her affair, the fake contract, the house sale, the secret meetings with Mark, and I made damn sure it all came out. The judge listened carefully, and I could see her eyes narrowing when Lisa tried to spin her web of lies. I felt a flicker of hope when I saw the judge reviewing the evidence, especially the bank statements and the forged signatures. I knew this was a pivotal moment. I gave my testimony, explaining how she'd betrayed me, how she'd sold our home without my knowledge, and how she was trying to manipulate the kids into siding with her. I made it clear that I wanted custody, not just for the sake of the kids, but to keep her from using them as pawns. And then came the bombshell. The court ordered a forensic audit of the house sale and the paperwork involved. Turns out the fake contract she used to get my brother to sign was flagged as fraudulent. The bank confirmed that she'd cashed out the entire $350, leaving us with nothing. The judge was visibly appalled. She asked Lisa directly, "Did you knowingly commit fraud to sell this property?" Lisa hesitated, then tried to deny everything, but the evidence was stacked against her. The courtroom erupted in tension. I felt a strange mixture of relief and rage. I'd fought hard to get here, to stand up for myself and for my kids. Lisa's manipulations had finally caught up with her. The judge ruled that the sale was invalid and that I was the rightful owner of the house, which meant she couldn't just walk away with everything. The judge also ordered an investigation into her financial dealings and her affair with Mark. I knew this wasn't over yet, but it was a huge step forward. I finally felt like I was starting to take back control. The aftermath was chaotic. Lisa was furious, throwing accusations and insults as she stormed out of the courtroom. She tried to guilt-trip the judge, claiming I was trying to ruin her, but her lies were crumbling fast. I felt a strange sense of justice, knowing that she'd finally been exposed for who she really was. The kids, thankfully, saw through her act. They were confused and upset, but I promised them I'd do everything I could to protect them from her manipulations. I also started the process of rebuilding. I secured a temporary place for me and the kids, and I filed for full custody. I knew Lisa would fight me on that, but I was prepared. I'd been betrayed in every way possible, but I refused to let her destroy us completely. The money was gone, the house was back in my name, and I was determined to start fresh, no matter how hard it would be. I learned that sometimes you have to fight tooth and nail for what's right, especially when someone you trusted turns out to be your worst enemy. And I swear, I'll never let her get away with this. The final few weeks have been I never expected to ride. After the court's ruling, I felt a strange mix of relief and exhaustion. I finally had the legal backing to keep the house, and the evidence against Lisa was overwhelming. Still, the emotional scars run deep. The betrayal, the lies, the way she played me for a fool, it's something I don't think I'll ever fully get over. But I've learned a lot about myself through this mess. Moving forward, I've decided to focus on rebuilding my life and taking care of my kids. The custody battle was tough, but I managed to get full custody with supervised visits for Lisa. She's furious, of course, but deep down, I think she knows she lost her chance at a family she could manipulate anymore. The kids are adjusting, and I'm doing everything I can to give them stability and love, even after everything their mother put us through. Looking back, I realize how much I trusted her, how blindly I believed in our marriage. The signs were there, but I kept convincing myself it wasn't true. I wish I'd seen the warning signs earlier, but I also understand now that sometimes people hide their true selves very well. Lisa's bitchy, manipulative side came out in the end, and it was ugly. She lied, cheated, and stole from us all while pretending to be the loving wife and mother. It's a brutal lesson, but one I needed to learn. I've come to accept that I can't change what happened, but I can control how I move forward. I've started therapy, not just to deal with the betrayal, but to rebuild my confidence and trust in myself. I've also become more cautious, more aware of the red flags I ignored before. I've learned that some people will do anything for money, sex, or power, even if it destroys everything good in their lives. Most importantly, I've realized that I'm stronger than I thought. Betrayal like this can break you, but it can also teach you resilience. I've lost a lot: my home, my trust, my peace of mind, but I still have my kids, my dignity, and a chance to start over. That's what keeps me going. So if there's one thing I want anyone reading this to take away, it's this: trust your instincts. Watch for the signs. People can hide their true selves for a long time, but eventually their true colors come out. And when they do, don't be afraid to fight for what's right. Because even after the worst betrayal, life can still go on. It can be better. You just have to be willing to face the truth, stand up for yourself, and never let anyone steal your peace again.